Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of Trend Trader Bhavdip143. We had a fantastic response to our first episode, so we've decided we're going to jump in and make the sequel. I'm sure there'll be a lot of very excited people out there this morning. We had lots of feedback, as I said, most of it positive, some of it negative. You know, that's going to happen, but nothing negative towards Bhav. I wanted to say that. The negative stuff was mainly directed at me, and I'd like to make a quick statement now to get it out of the way so that we can move forward with all the good stuff we've got planned. So some of Bhav's fans sent in some mail, and I won't go as far as to say death threat, but it definitely falls in the category of hate mail. Some very hostile messages about how I'd made this long video about how great Bhav and how much I like his page and you got to follow him and all this type of stuff. And then the people had noticed on my page, I wasn't even following him. So look, when I made the first episode, I thought it's important that I remain neutral. I don't want to see biased. Everyone knows I love Bhav, all his great content, his great stuff. So I'm sorry that was misinterpreted. And I'm going to make this commitment that at the end of this episode, I will be following Bhav's page so that I can get all the great content that you guys at home are getting. Sorry, just give me 1 sec. What? I'm not going to follow him. I won't lose all our money. I know he trades shitty penny stocks. I'll unfollow him after I make the episode. Okay, just be quiet, please. Sorry about that. That was just my wife checking what I wanted for lunch. Okay, so moving forward, as I said, heaps of good feedback as well. And what could be better than the man himself, Bhavdip, reached out to us after the first episode, saying how much he loved it, had a few suggestions going forward. So I'm just going to read out what he's written. He asked that we could touch on a few of his big winners. Now, in the last episode, we did kind of run out of time a little bit. I thought it would be assumed, based on what we talked about, that everyone would know he's picking lots of big winners. But in fairness to him, I'm going to make sure that we get to at least 1 or 2 of those today. And the other one he wanted to know was, could we please change the DR ratio to the RD ratio? Now, most people will recall that the DR ratio stands for dynamites to rockets, and Bhav would like to change that to the RD ratio. He feels it sounds a little cooler, a bit better ring to it. So I wrote back to Bhav and I explained to him that if we do change the ratio around, it may affect the numbers that go into the model, and hence the valuation may be distorted. To which Bhav's written back, "Nah, mate, don't worry about that. As long as it sounds good, go for it." So, hey, who am I to argue with Bhav, you know? Another great call, I would say. In fact, great calls is what he does, so we'll definitely be moving to the RD ratio going forward. We also got lots of questions from the fans. Way too many to read out, but I'll just read out a couple. Dazza from Hopper's Crossing asks, what platform do you use for your emojis, and is there a subscription fee? Binger from Point Cook asks, what brand is your hat, and where can I get a pair of those aviators? And Karen from Brighton asks, are you single? So lots of great questions there coming in from all the fans, which is great to see. And hopefully if we get time at the end, we'll try and get to them. But what I really want to do is to jump into Bhav's Twitter page, because that's what we're here for, to discover some stocks, to find some multi-baggers, to get on some rockets. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as always, Bhav has been posting a lot of content. So I've bookmarked a few tweets again, just so we can get to them with save a little bit of time. I want you to come up to the top of the screen here and have a look at this one here, because I think that's an interesting tweet. Easy double, 4DX, IMO, and next cochlear in the making. So you'll see what Bhav's done here at the top. He's used an acronym, IMO. Now, Bhav will do this on occasion, usually when he's pumping out the tweets fast and he doesn't have time to get to the emojis. he'll switch over to an acronym where he can save some time and get the next tweet out there. So this one here, easy double 4DX IMO. So IMO stands for Into Moon's Orbit. So when you see Bhav write this tweet here, what he's saying is easy double, get on the rockets, off to the moon. He didn't have the time to put the rockets out there, so a lot of his followers are going to be sitting at home going, quite perplexed, going, IMO, yeah, great, how many rockets, what do I do with this? Well, here at headquarters with our models, we've been getting a lot of data, and we feel like we do have enough data now to track the IMO, and we've worked out that it works out to approximately 5.3 rockets. So when you see that IMO, you can be pretty comfortable buying the stock, not doing much research, jumping on. It's probably heading toward the moon. That IMO is a safe bet. Now, if you ever see an IMO with some rockets, that is a green light, okay? IMO with rockets, rare as hen's teeth. I think in all the time following Bhav, I've seen maybe 2 or 3, okay? Some of you may even question if they exist. Well, they do exist, but they're very rare. So if you see one, like say for example, IMO and 2 rockets, we'll come over to the model here. So you've got your IMO plus 2 rockets, 7.3. 7.3 rocket stock. So that, that's going to move fast, and you don't want to hesitate when you see that. If you ever catch one, if you're ever that lucky, jump on straight away. Okay, we're moving on to the next tweet. Okay, so I just want you to take a look at this one here. A bit of a long tweet. Just scroll down to the bottom here where he's got the DYOR. Okay, now, any of you guys who are in FinTwit, you've worked in finance, you know the business, you would have seen this acronym around a ton. This gets used a lot. What it is, it's a disclaimer, okay? So when people post about stocks and stuff like that, they generally, they don't want someone coming back who lost money, who said, hey, you told me to buy this, it's your fault. So they'll use a disclaimer. And you'll see that Bhav does too. And that's only fair. When you post as much stuff as Bhav, you need to be careful. He posts about lots and lots of stocks. So you'll see him use this acronym quite a bit as a disclaimer. So when you see the DYOR, that stands for Direct Your Own Rockets. So what Bhav is basically saying is, hey, I've got you the hot tip, I got you on the rocket, but once you launch, it's up to you. Don't come back with, I never made it to the moon, I lost money, it didn't work out. I don't want to hear it, all right? Direct your own rockets, okay? And again, only fair, Bhav gives you the information. What you do with it, that is up to you. You have to take some responsibility. So moving on, we'll go to the next one. Okay, so Bhav wanted us to talk about a couple of his big winners. So if you just come up here, I did find one that's quite topical because it's recent. ARX was a recent IPO. Very, very hot IPO. A lot of good institutions got in this thing. Bhav saw it coming a mile away. Jumped in early, got a big allocation, monster position. He would have been super excited waiting for this thing to list, letting all his followers know it's listing on Friday. And Friday comes around, 11:01, this thing lists, boom, $1.50. Bhav picked up his parcel at 75 cents, 100%, quick bag, 1 minute. If only we could all get that sort of work. So, this is the sort of thing Bhav's capable of, these big monster positions in quality names, and they will move fast. And the beautiful thing for all of his followers is there was such a hysteria and such hype and such excitement around the stock that they were ready to go. They were jumping all over this thing when it opened at $1.50 in like Flynn. And it cooled off a bit at the end of the day. I think it ended up closing just over here on our model at $1.35. So, for Bhav, fantastic, right? He's made, 85% in a day? God, every fund manager would give their left arm to be on a stock like that. And for his followers, it's fantastic as well. I mean, they're getting in $1.50. They're on for the ride. They're sitting over here at $1.35. They're happy. And it's just the perfect example of why his followers are so happy and are so loyal. Because he gets them on these rockets and he gets them on these winners, and everyone's on for the ride. He shares the wealth, and that's the beautiful thing that you'll enjoy if you're following Bhavdip's page. And just finally, we'll have another look at one of these tweets up here. And unfortunately, you know, some of these pests are back on Bhav's page. This arrow trade guy again, he's back in there. You know, pardon the pun, but this arrow is a real prick. Okay, like so, this arrow guy's posting about TNT. He's been making some money on TNT. He doesn't shut up about it. Bhav posts the question over to him. I did say TNT will go crazy when it was 4 cents, but didn't put the rockets on it for you. Only up 5 bags from entry, right? So this prick arrow writes back, what the fuck is this? July 1st, 2019, you want me to wait around a whole year for a lazy 5 bags? I expect to make that from a week. So, you know, what's basically happened is here, this arrow guy, you know, he's saying, I bought this TNT, you know, 2 months ago at 5 cents, you know, it's gone to 23 cents or whatever it is, you know, la-di-da-di-da. And Bhav's saying, hey mate, I told you about that stock 13 months ago. And, you know, this guy's claiming he's never heard of it. So let me tell you something. The chances of this guy finding a 5 rocket stock on his own, if Bhav hadn't put that tweet out planting the seed 13 months ago, is 0, okay? Bhav deserves some credit here, and this guy, he just grinds my gears. Like, he's showing no appreciation to Bhav whatsoever, you know. He should be sending him a gift basket with some fruit and flowers, as far as I'm concerned, you know, kneeling at his feet. You know, this guy's making all this money off one of Bhav's tips, and then acting like he did it all himself. So, to be honest with you, I don't know why Bhav puts up with that guy. If I was in his shoes, I would block him, you know, be done with it. He's far too tolerant, and, you know, I guess that's just the way he is. In fact, if you look what he wrote back to that stupid post, just come down here, haha, my bad. And, I mean, it sums it up right there. I mean, he knew he was right, but he didn't want to go in the gutter, you know. He wanted, in fact, if you could sum him up in one word, it would be humble. I mean, he's basically taken the high road here and, you know, just let sleeping dogs lie. And I mean, I guess that's why people love him, because he's so humble. You know, he doesn't engage in this to and fro. And, you know, I guess that's why he's got so many followers. So I think that's all we've got time for today. Like I said, I'm going to come up here to Bhav's page. I'm going to give him a follow. So now I'm on board getting all that great content you guys are getting at home. I apologize to Binger and Dazza and Karen. We didn't get to your questions. We may have to do a part 3. But in the meantime, follow Bhav, get on board, get on his Twitter feed, and let's all start getting on some rockets and making some bags. All right, until next time, thanks for joining us. And done. Oh, fuck, shit. How do I turn this thing on? Shit.